American Lonsdale fan, and what I'm going to do is a quick video on the Hoffner knife. Now, I've purchased the Hoffner knives for a number of years, and I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with them. Ultimately, they are a good knife. I would recommend them to anybody. I'm just going to make some observations real quick. The first is that if you know anything about Brian Hoffner, he was military man, Texas law enforcement, and he started American Tactical Apparel, that as well as designing his own tactical knife. And with it came kind of a whole system of his style of knife fighting. I'm not really going to go into that. I'm just going to really talk about the knife itself and could you make any use of it. All right. When I first bought this, first of all, these are two different ones. This is an older model and this is the newer model. The biggest difference is, and I'll flip it over so you can see, the insignia inside is the American Tactical Apparel logo, whereas this is Brian Hoffner's own logo. It's like the Spartan Creed. Okay. When I first bought these knives, ultimately I thought they were pretty good, especially for their price point. They were very simple design. They had things like pain compliance tools and impact tools. If you've seen my other videos, you know my opinion about that. But as far as the knife itself goes, it's a 440C stainless steel. This has kind of got a matte finish on it. 440C stainless steel, let's be honest. Yes, it's a low to mid-grade stainless steel, but it does work. It holds an edge, very, very rust resistant, corrosion resistant, and believe it or not, this thing is still sharp. They always came out of the box very sharp, and they work. What also was nice is the spear point design had a false edge on top, which gave it strength on the tip and the blade itself. Had a very deep pocket carry. It's only tipped down, but you can see how deep that pocket goes. And ideally, according to Hoffner, you were supposed to actually carry it with the blade facing on your hip, so that when you pulled it, it would come out like this. You give it a little inertia, and now you've got the reverse grip. If you wanted to change grips, you place your finger and thumb through the hole and reverse it like so. Simple, and it does work. Had a liner lock, which worked pretty well. No real complaints. If you can kind of tell, the liner touches a lot of surface for the most part. If you can also see that it's got kind of a bronze colored collar in there, but on the screws themselves there's a nylon washer, but it worked, no problem. The only thing about these older models is over time it didn't take long. If you can kind of hear it, there's a little blade play both ways, both this way as well as this way. Nothing major, and it doesn't seem to affect the liner itself. It's not like the liner is slipping, but it is concerning. It's still smooth. I tend to remove this and use a little, of course, Loctite. I think they do put Loctite on the screws, but I don't think they use the Loctite brand because it doesn't seem to hold very well. Okay, so now let's get into this one. Okay, Hoffner Knives had a big sale recently where you buy one, you get the second one free, so couldn't pass that up. So I went ahead and bought it, and this is what I got, and I noticed there were some differences. First and foremost, you can tell there's a difference in the thickness. So this is the new one. The G10 scales here are thicker than they are here. Okay, so this has a very slim grip to it, whereas this one fills the hand better. You can even tell from the little insignia here, it's deeper. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, this is just a lot different. Another thing that I noticed is when you get the basic plain blade, you get a very high polished stainless steel. They call this silver, as opposed to the matte finish, which is a little duller. So it makes it look better. Still 440C stainless steel. And I notice also is, now granted I haven't really taken this apart, but it seems like everything is just a little tighter now. It's still smooth and you can still pop it out without a problem, but I think the fit and finish has gotten better personally. If you notice, you can kind of tell that this blade kind of holds the blade closed, probably from the indent from the liner lock, whereas this one, it's kind of easy to move around. And that was always a problem, because when you put it in your pocket, sometimes the edge of your pocket would hit the stud and it would kind of open, like so. So I used to have to actually put the knife back into my pocket this way, so to keep this better. So it seems like it's working, and if you notice now, there's no blade play, or very little. Still liner lock, still kind of makes contact with a good amount of the surface. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think they changed too much. I just think that maybe they spent a little more time on this. So I don't know. Downside is the price went up. Now I don't think it's because they spent more time on these newer models. I think it's just that, prices are just going up, period. Not a whole lot, but enough to make this kind of a mid-price knife. So it's not quite it's not a $20, $30 knife. You shop around, usually you can find ones for, say, $40. That's the lowest I've ever seen them go for. Now, let's talk about the Hoffner knife itself and for its use. I've actually found it to be a very good working knife. Okay, this blade is very, very sharp, well designed, spear point. Yes, it's a low to mid-grade stainless steel, but you know what? The blade design is good and it works. No question there. I really like this handle. It's simple and it seems to work very well with whatever type of grip you like. I'm not much of a saber grip guy, but if you notice, the end piece puts into your webbing your hand, and your palm kind of all makes contact with the handle if you do a saber grip. Now if you do more of the Filipino grip, where you make sure that all three fingers, last three fingers make contact and your thumb goes on top, it still works very, very well. If you notice, and now my thumb is just kind of on top of the handle, not so much the blade. So that works. Hoffner, of course, himself prefers a reverse grip, or what he calls a spine pick, because the thumb wraps over the top and it basically does not slip. He also makes use of what he calls the foil grip, where you basically stick your thumb here and the last three fingers wrap around. I don't personally would ever use this, but the point being is there's so many comfortable grips that you can use for this knife. They work very well. The scales themselves are not aggressive, so they're not going to tear up your pants or anything. Stippling, I call it stippling, is placed perfectly where it should be, here and here, because this is where the contact is made. Whatever your grip you like, this is where it's made. And of course, being a liner lock, it means it's open one hand and closes one hand without a problem. The liner lock seems to work real well. I haven't had anything that make me worry too much. With the older model, even the liner lock, as much as blade play as there was, it didn't seem to move the liner at all. I'm kind of pressing. It moves it slightly, but not horribly. Whereas the new one seems to really hold up well. So it's a really good working knife. As a defensive knife, well, let's be honest. Sharp knife, decent quality, any knife is going to serve you well if you know how to properly hold, use, wield it, and also if you're wielding it for legal reasons, then make sure you understand the law about using a knife in self-defense. So anyway, this is the Hoffner knife. Like I said, it's not my primary carry knife, but I have used it. I have carried it. It's primarily been a working knife for me, but it's been nice to know that I can use it for self-defense if I needed to. Looks like I just went to the 11-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and close it up. So anyway, Hoffner knife, it is a good quality knife. It's not a high-end quality, but it's still a mid-solid quality knife. So this is American Lonsdale fan, and I will see you next video.